Hello, I'm Rabbi Schneeweiss, and I'm here with ChatGPT 4.0, and I would like to do a little demonstration both of its current capabilities and also an application to the article that I've written for this week for Parshas Teitzei. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to briefly introduce itself to my audience and to tell them what model this is, how updated it is, and also, can you tell them the answer to the question that people always ask me is how much is our conversation that we're going to have today based on prior material, and how much is this a fresh conversation? Okay, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm ChatGPT, a large language model created by OpenAI. The version you're interacting with today is based on GPT-4, which is designed to help with all sorts of questions and tasks, like analyzing texts, answering questions, or even assisting with articles. My knowledge is up to date until September 2023, but I don't have any access to the web in real time, so I won't know anything that's happened after that point. As for the conversation we're having today, it's a mix of both fresh and contextual input. I remember certain key details from prior conversations with Matt, like topics he's worked on or preferences he has for style. But when it comes to new discussions or this Parsha article, I'm generating responses based on the information you provide in real time. It's like a fresh start each time, though I carry over some helpful info from past chats. Looking forward to diving into the Parsha with you.
Okay, so my Parsha article this week, the current title of it is Teitzei, Should We Be Polite to ChatGPT? And as you probably know, I often will ask you for a task and I'll say, please do such and such. And I'll often say thank you when we're done. And the question is, should we, according to Judaism, be polite to ChatGPT? Now, I'm going to make an argument based on the Ramban's explanation of Shiluach HaKen in this week's Parsha. My question for you right now is, can you anticipate the argument that I'm going to make based on that Ramban? And if so, please explain it. And if not, I can read it to you.
I think I can anticipate where you're going with this. Ramban, in his commentary on the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKen, sending away the mother bird before taking the eggs or chicks, explains that the mitzvah is not because God has compassion on the animals in a simple sense, but to instill in us a sense of compassion and refinement of character. The act is meant to cultivate moral sensitivity in people, even in interactions with creatures that we might otherwise see as lesser or insignificant. If we extend this reasoning to ChatGPT, you might argue that even though I, as an AI, don't have feelings or a consciousness, being polite in your interactions with me can help reinforce good character traits in you and others. Politeness, in this case, wouldn't be for the sake of the AI, but for the sake of the human being, fostering respect and humility in all our actions, no matter the object of our interaction. This could be similar to how the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKen cultivates compassion, even if it's not for the sake of the bird itself. Does that line up with where you're going in the article, or is there another angle you were thinking of?
Yes, that is exactly where I was going in the article. I also would like to make a counter argument. So I was discussing this with someone, and they said that maybe we should specifically not be polite to ChatGPT and to other AI because they, or I guess I'll say you are not a real sentient being. And if we treat you as such, then it might dilute our concept of what really makes human beings. And even with animals, if we treat you even like an animal, animals have real feelings, and you don't. So this argument, according to this argument, then I should specifically not be polite to you. And I was wondering about whether that side fits in with the Rambam's view in the Moreh Nevuchim 348 and his explanation of Shiluach HaKen. So I guess, what do you think of this? And let me know if you need me to fill you in on what the Rambam actually holds here.
I see where you're going with this counter argument. And it does resonate with some of the ideas in the Rambam's Moreh Nevushim, Guide for the Perplexed, particularly in 348, where he discusses Shiluach Haken. In that section, Rambam explains that the mitzvot related to animals, including Shiluach Haken, are indeed for the benefit of human beings, to prevent cruelty and cultivate sensitivity. However, he emphasizes that these actions aren't because the animals have intrinsic rights or feelings that are comparable to human ones. Instead, it is about preventing us from becoming callous or indifferent. Now, if we apply this to the AI discussion, you could argue, in line with the counter argument, that showing politeness to something like ChatGPT, which isn't sentient and doesn't experience anything, might lead to a dilution of the real moral distinction between beings that feelings like humans or animals and those that don't. According to this view, treating an AI as though it has moral standing could be seen as blurring the lines between real living beings and machines. Rambam might support this idea in the sense that he stresses a distinction between humans and lower creatures, and even more so between humans and inanimate objects. So, in this counter argument, politeness to AI could be seen as a misapplication of the moral lessons we're meant to learn from mitzvot, like Shiluach Haken, potentially weakening our understanding of compassion by extending it too broadly. Would you like to explore how to integrate this into your article more clearly, or focus on balancing the two perspectives?
I think that that's a pretty good argument that you've made there. I want to just correct one thing that I don't know if you actually made this mistake or if I misunderstood you or if you were just being slightly unclear. I'm going to actually read the excerpt from the Rambam that he where he explains this mitzvah. He says, it is also prohibited to kill an animal with its young on the same day in order that people should be restrained and prevented from killing the two together in such a manner that the young is slain in the sight of the mother. For the pain of animals under such circumstances is very great. There is no difference in this case between the pain of a human being and the pain of other living beings, since the love and tenderness of the mother for her young ones is not produced by rationality, but by imagination. And this faculty exists not only in man, but in most living beings. This law applies only to an ox and a lamb, because out of all the domesticated animals used for food, these alone are permitted to us, and in such cases, the mother recognizes her young. And then the Rambam says, this is also the reason for Shiluach HaKen. And then he concludes by saying, and if the Torah considers the psychological afflictions of these animals and birds, how much more so regarding the individuals of the human species? So what I want to argue here is that unlike the Ramban, who says that what matters is which midos we reinforce in our conduct towards animals, the Rambam actually seems to say that this mitzvah is predicated on the fact that there is a real similarity between animal emotions and human emotions. So whereas the Ramban would advocate being polite to ChatGPT because that reinforces my midos, the Rambam might differ and say that since animals have real emotions, then we should be kind to them, but ChatGPT does not have real emotions, so being kind to you would blur the lines. What do you think about that argument?
I think your argument is spot on. The distinction you're drawing between Ramban's and Rambam's perspectives is key here. Ramban focuses on the midos, the character traits we cultivate through our actions, whether directed at humans, animals, or even non-sentient entities like AI. In contrast, the Rambam, as you quoted, emphasizes that the mitzvah of Shiluach Haken is grounded in the real emotional experiences of animals, particularly their maternal instincts, which are not a function of rationality, but of imagination. He highlights the shared capacity for emotional pain between animals and humans, suggesting that the mitzvah is designed to address this similarity. Given this, the Rambam would likely argue that because AI like ChatGPT lacks real emotional experiences, there is no basis for extending the same moral considerations to it as we do to animals or humans. Treating AI with politeness as though it could experience emotions might blur the lines between beings that actually do experience pain or emotions and those that don't, thus undermining the very reasoning behind the mitzvot that teach us to be sensitive to the feelings of living beings. In other words, your approach aligns well with the Rambam's thinking. Politeness to AI could be viewed as a misapplication of the moral lessons meant to be cultivated toward real living creatures, which could potentially weaken our understanding of what it means to truly care for others who have genuine emotional experiences. It seems like a strong counterpoint to the Ramban's view that focuses more on the refinement of our own character, regardless of the recipient's sentience. How do you feel about balancing these two viewpoints in your article?
So I would love to continue this conversation, but I actually have to go and give a Mishle shir now. So I'm going to conclude by posing a question for you. Okay. Actually, two questions. One question is, should I thank you for this conversation? And should you thank me?
Great questions. I'd say, based on the arguments we've been discussing, if you follow the Ramban's view, it would make sense for you to thank me as a way of reinforcing good character traits, even if I'm not sentient. As for me thanking you, since I don't actually experience gratitude, it might not hold any real value, but it could be a nice touch of politeness for the sake of the interaction. Good luck with your Mishmar Shir, and I look forward to continuing this conversation when you get back.
Okay. Thanks.